everything right?
Why did the plumber do everything right if you were out when the plumber came round?
Probably there was an appointment and the plumber showed up, but they knew it wasn't there.
What I say on this one, I think there's an element of it depends. But with this particular example, what normally happens is that you book an appointment, you might need to pop out. How often do you get a delivery appointment? You're told delivery is going to happen between 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock. You might have work to do, you might have errands to run, you might need to pick up the kids or whatever else as well. And so because of that, you might not be there for a certain amount of time. What you're not offered in that particular example is a time slot that suits you. So this comes back to that nominal value piece at the start. People are not asked actually what suits them. Is it an appointment between 9 and 5? Or is it an appointment at 10:30 to 11:30? Something a little bit more accurate. And what you would typically do in this example is that you'd label this as a failure demand, because you say, well, there might be something that we could do about that. So you might look at the reasons why the plumber came over. There might be different reasons. It might be because you had a long appointment schedule. It might be, in one example, that the customer just went out because their mother was ill or whatever else. So there might be a reason behind it that's out of your control. But what you look at trying to understand the reasons why, because if you can understand the reasons why, then you can stop that. So that comes through a bit of intelligence applied to it as well. Does that make sense?
Well, the plumber could have actually called an hour before they arrived.
Yeah, there's those things as well that you could look at. There's other ways to mitigate that as a problem. Yes. Okay.
I mean, it depends on the interpretation of everything. You can say that everything is a failure and everything is value. No?
You could say everything's a failure and everything's value. Yes, it can be one or the other.
It depends on, I don't know, give me an example of what I'm close to. The plumber didn't arrive when they were too close to.
Yeah.
It could be a value and failure, isn't it?
It could be what, sorry?
A value and failure.
No, it will always be a failure. Remember that with the value, it's what we want and it's why we're here. This is why we go through these examples, so it's not always obvious. So you're not here to get calls coming in saying that the plumber was out. That's a problem in your system. That's indicative of something, or maybe multiple things that could be going wrong. So, for example, let's just move on a little bit. What you do is you measure. So what you do is you say, actually, let's look at these different demands coming in, let's understand actually what's important to us. If not many people have that as a problem, you wouldn't really put much focus onto it. What you probably want to look at in this example is your number 100. So what does this, if you look at this data, and you look at this demand coming in, what would that tell you about this particular system? What's your biggest problem? Yeah, it's typically a quality problem. So what you want to do from that is you want to understand why, because you understand why you do something about it. Yes.
I can still argue that this is a value because you ordered a plumber and the plumber actually arrived, but you were not there.
Mm-hmm.
So I fulfilled my value. My plumber arrived. So it's your fault that
the perspective, and this is the thing about systems thinking, it's a very good point, thank you for raising it. The perspective is always from the customer's side of things. So from a customer's perspective, if they have to make that phone call saying that the plumber's out when I called, that's labelled as a failure demand. What you'll never be able to do is get rid of all of that. There will be certain reasons why sometimes there are things out of your control that you can't influence. But what you'd want to do is you'd want to label that as a failure demand, because then you could think there might be something that we could do about it. Why is that happening? Why was I out at the time as a customer? And again, from a customer's perspective, that's something that they don't want to have to happen.
Okay, but how do you improve it if it's a failure?
How do you improve it? You understand why. So it comes back to what I was just mentioning a moment ago. If you're out because you're giving a long appointment, and that happens quite a lot, let's say that's 200 rather than 20, and a lot of your demand that you're getting is rework. You've got plumbers who are going over, the customer's not in, they're spending all that time and effort travelling between jobs. That's a big problem if that's more like 220. So you want to understand why. You might want to talk to customers. As we said at the start, ask them, why was it that you were not in when the plumber came round? They might say, oh, because I was given a massive appointment time, I wasn't able to be in that whole time. Therefore, you could fix that by giving them more specific appointment time. They might say something such as, like I said before, their mother's not very well, they had to pop out. Okay, fine, that's something that maybe was out of our control, not something that we could do a lot about. But what it does is it points you in a direction. It makes you think, what could possibly be going wrong there? Certain things in your control or not, maybe, but by labelling it as such, then you want to do it. Okay? I shall move on. So, to summarise this piece up a little bit, and in the interest of time a little bit as well, the thing about failure demand is that it's preventable by its definition. If you can understand the reasons why that we've been talking about, that things might generate those failure demands, you can change the characteristics of demand, which would be a very powerful thing, whether it's a call centre environment, whether it's a shop floor environment, whatever else environment it might be. But if you can understand that, you can change how customers deal with you, that can have profound effects on the way you run your business and your costs. Okay. I shall move us on now to talk about waste, because there's no point having fantastic demand-led figures and lots of value demand if actually once you get it in, you spend a lot of time faffing around and not doing very much with it. So there's all different types of waste that could be in a system, whether it's failure demand causing waste, whether it's rework, duplication, etc., etc. as well. All those things up there, which are just a number of examples, there's all sorts of other things that you might see. All those different things will be a waste in your system you don't want to have to do in the first place. Things like, maybe more towards the bottom there, things like batching, you might think it might make things more efficient, but actually you still label it as a waste because in theory it shouldn't be needed there in the first place. Obtaining authorization as well is another one you might think, we need that for a reason, but you want to still think about challenging that reason. If it takes a lot of time, if going back to that environment dealing with customers, if you might be able to give an answer to them straight away, but you have to wait 2 or 3 days to attain authorization. From a customer's perspective, things are taking a lot longer. And there might be reasons why you want to do that. I'm not saying get rid of obtaining authorization completely, but again, it's about challenging the why that it's there and thinking about that a little bit more. Has anyone ever heard of Lean Six Sigma before? A little bit around the room. Lean Six Sigma is a way that typically manufacturing companies use to improve the way that they work. And a lot of people, when they look at their processes, they work in a Six Sigma way. I guess because you guys aren't familiar with it, I'll get to this quite quickly, but there are a few differences. So with Lean Six Sigma, by its definition, it wants predictability. With systems thinking, it's about expecting and understanding and dealing with variation. With Six Sigma, you modify one thing at a time in isolation, whereas with systems thinking, it's the system. You want to understand things holistically. With Six Sigma, it's not about changing energy demand, as we just talked through, it's about understanding failure demand. And Six Sigma is also, practically speaking, you get teams of specialists. They'll have their own tools that they use to go into the business, they'll be the ones who will drive the change. With systems thinking, it's more led from the people who do the work. So it creates that environment of continuous improvement and use the people who deal with the customers themselves rather than these external people coming in to improve the way that they work, because they're the real experts in terms of what their customers actually need and what they want. System conditions is just a fancy way of saying barriers and root causes. So system conditions are those causes of waste, and they're typically there because of the way that management think about the way that work is put together. I'm not going to go through all these different particular examples that are on here, but effectively what you can see with this is that there's all sorts of reasons behind the waste. And again, if you can understand the reasons why, then what you can do is you can do something about it. So, to just recap what it is that we talked about a little bit earlier on, think about it as the system, not the people. Because in a lot of systems, the majority of the things that can go wrong could be down to the system itself rather than those individuals. Therefore, you should be acting on the system to improve performance. And think about your double loop thinking as well. So don't just look at your single loop where you just work in your own way and try and make things better based upon what might be the way that was there previously or what other people have done that you might have seen. But actually understand what information are we getting. Think about how could I maybe change my perspective if it's appropriate to do so, and feed that back into that second loop. So, to summarise what we've been talking about, focus on what the customer's asking for. This is a nominal value piece. You can understand what the customers want, which isn't always easy. Sometimes customers can be quite coy about what they actually want. You can try and fulfil that. That as a principle is something to consider. Targets and measures will drive behaviours as well. consider the impact of those, act on the system to improve performance rather than sweating the staff, so act on your 95%, and understand and prevent failure demand from happening. If you can do that, you can change the way that customers interact with you. That can have a profound effect. And finally, poor management thinking, that double loop side, that can cause system conditions. Those system conditions can cause waste and failure demand and other problems. So fundamentally, you guys are business students, management students. Managers are the root cause of a lot of problems. And so the way that managers think, the way that managers approach things can cause those system conditions, those problems, those barriers. They can cause waste. They can cause the way that customers interact with us as well. That's something important to consider as well. Again, I'll send through these slides afterwards so you can see them, so you don't need to write these down now, but there's a few different things that I've got information from today that you can look at, and I'll finish by asking if anyone has any further questions. Yes?
But I still think that the system fails if people are motivated, and motivation comes from again.
The motivation, sorry?
The motivation comes from inside, so it's not that the company motivates me. I mean, if you see me in the morning, nothing can motivate me to go and do something. So then we're back at it, it starts all with the system.
I completely agree with you. It's a very good point. And I hope maybe I'm not touching it quite so much. But what I would say is that what we're saying with this is that you shouldn't be giving people targets to hit, because that's extrinsic motivation. What you're assuming in that environment, you're assuming that your plumbers are lazy. You're assuming that they need those targets to get them to work. What we're looking for to get the best way of working, to motivate people, motivate your staff, is to give them that intrinsic motivation. They want to come in, they want to do a good job, they want to help out their customers, they want to be able to influence some of the problems that they've got and feel that they're listened to. So absolutely what we encourage is intrinsic motivation for your staff. Give them a good job to do.
Surely if you've employed a large number of intrinsically lazy people, it shows you've got a bit of failure in your
hiring mechanism. That's possible. Typically, I would say that a lazy person is only lazy because of the system in which they work. Now, that's not always going to be true. I'm sure we've all seen lazy people who don't want to do various things. But you're right, there could be a wider symptom of the way that you do your hiring. Perhaps you're not hiring so much for attitude as you should be, for example. So yes, absolutely.